Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Tonight on Houselights, we're swapping identities at summer camp, dunking Oreos in peanut butter, and discovering that the fastest way to reunite your divorced parents is an elaborate con only a child could pull off. We're talking Nancy Meyers' The Parent Trap, the 1998 criminal divorce fantasy where Napa Valley and London are a single transatlantic phone call apart, and Lindsay Lohan is two people. I'm your co-host, Tristan Riddell, and joining me as always is a man who once tried to fence his own twin at a camp for a poker debt, John Mills, and the criminal mastermind who looked at a disgusting parental decision and thought, what this needs is more deception, Darren Moser. It's fraud versus reconciliation, Lohan versus Lohan, a butler quietly falling in love in the background. This episode will hit you like a fistful of Oreos to a freshly pierced ear. This is Houselights.
You know, honestly, I think you're kind of glancing past that the very, very attractive and charming bald man gets the girl at the end of the film, which really is that's the storyline that I responded to most here in The Parent Trap. I thought that was the most endearing aspect of the story, really, to be honest with you.
Now, John, this is your first time watching this movie.
It is. It's my first time watching this film that introduced Lindsay Lohan to the world. She was an unknown before this. This is like Kirstie Alley, like Star Trek introduced Kirstie Alley to the world. This introduced Lindsay Lohan, both of whom went on to have their own social and cultural impact on the world in their own ways. So it's quite amazing how much they had riding on this little starlet at the time.
Darren, you've seen this before. How many times have you seen this before?
Yeah. Many times. This was a Moser favorite. We loved this. We had it on VHS, and it's just a fun movie. Now, we also watched the original 61 several times as well. I was familiar with that. And I mean, it is a very faithful remake. A lot of the main plot points are straight across the board. Although the twinning technology has come a long way, but it still holds up. The 61 Parent Trap, I think, and I just can't get the opening title sequence song out of my head. It's so catchy, so swinging. But yes, 98 Parent Trap is a lot of fun, and the most 90s thing about it. It's not the fact that airport travel is super easy. It's not the fact that we're at a girls' summer camp and, there's not cell phones everywhere. It's the fact that a movie is being made where we're not going to realistically look at divorce, and it's just going to Disney wave away and they come back to, because nowadays that would be such a huge part of the plot. That's all I'm saying.
This would be, if this was made today, this would be a heart-wrenching tearjerker that you'd see on Lifetime.
No, I think there's an audience for that, but I think there's still not everything's going to be
Disney
Marriage
wouldn't
Story.
make that movie, but yes.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Disney today might make that movie because honestly, this happens every so often when I look back at like an old Disney movie I haven't seen or I revisit one. Like this was Disney's brand. Like, you're saying it's like, oh, we don't really look at divorce. Yeah, no, like Disney was all about, look, it's the fantasy thing. It's we'll take something and we'll just sanitize the hell out of it to look for just the clean comedy angle to it and just have, mom and dad want to go somewhere where they don't have to explain a thing on the screen. Mom and dad, you're paying for a nap. You're paying for your kid to see the movie. That's their ticket price. Your ticket price is you can kind of zone out and just be like, okay, good. All right. I don't have to worry about anything right now. So this is squarely in the old Disney brand. I mean, if anything, watching a movie like this makes me pine for the old Disney brand because it was easy. Like I didn't grow up in a Disney family. I was a Spielberg Lucas kid. And, like coming up during Ghostbusters and Gremlins and all of that sort of stuff going on. So like looking back at this, like there's almost like a bit of nostalgia for me where I'm like, boy, what did I miss out? Why didn't my parents let me see sweet stuff like this instead of watching Terminator when I'm 10 years old? Thank you, Thomas, my brother. That was very nice.
It's true. Like this movie very much encapsulates an era. It is very much of its time, and specifically Nancy Meyers' future style. This was her directorial debut. Before this, she was a writer and a producer. She was usually wrote things with her then husband Charles Shire. They wrote and produced Private Benjamin, Baby Boom, and both of the Father of the Bride remakes. And Nancy Meyers' fingerprint is all over the Father of the Bride movies. Like you could tell me like, oh yeah,
sure.
she directed those, and I'd be like, oh sure, yeah, I believe you.
Yeah, I never watched the originals on the Father of the Bride movies, and I have maybe I saw the original Parent Trap on like a Disney Sunday night movie when I was a kid, sort of thing. So like that's pretty wild. So far as I'm concerned, like you guys can tell me because Darren, you said you've seen the original. You said this is a faithful remake. Is there anything about Myers' style
gosh. I mean, it is ridiculously faithful. I mean, we're talking
the structure is like, they had to credit David Swift, who wrote the original 1961 Parent Trap, because they leaned on the structure so much.
Yeah, I could see that. I mean, you're talking the cutting of the hair, the learning about each other, again, there's slight tonal differences. But
the sticks to scare mountain lions away, and the sugar water and everything like that.
Even the
putting it out
crossing
on the lake,
the arms and doing like crossing your fingers and crossing your arms. I could probably name 50 things that are direct, which is not bad. I mean, it's obviously
it's not a shot for shot remake, but
no, of course not.
Very much.
It worked back then, so it worked now. Like, it kept all the good parts.
But Myers also gets. Like when I was watching the credits at the beginning, it's the production designer from the Godfather films and Apocalypse Now is the production designer here, Dean Tavoularis, and Dean freaking Cundy is the DP on this. It's like, I mean, if this is her first film, Disney was kind of like really rolling out the red carpet for her as like, hey, we're going to give, not only are we going to give you really solid talent behind the camera here, we're giving you the best talent. That would be like somebody, that would be like the guy coming in to do back rooms and like, here's Deakins, he'll shoot the movie for you. It's like, oh, thanks, man. Appreciate the help. That's solid.
But that's the thing is that it solidified her style, Nancy Meyers' style, because she's very much known for the warm interiors. Everybody's rich, but yet their homes are super cozy. And
these people are so rich. Rich. Oh my god.
I want to see a version where they swap and the other person lives in like a really crappy, dangerous neighborhood.
I was watching this with my kids, both of whom have seen it before. And fortunately, the youngest didn't hear my little snide comment, but like one of the older ones is sitting next to me, and like whichever one of them like goes to Napa Valley or whatever, and I said exactly that, Tristan. I was like, oh, it's just really lucky that it's not like in the hood or something like that. And she's like, what? I'm like, well, both of these families are basically like living like royalty. Like neither one of these kids went back somewhere and was like, oh my God, there are bars on the window or anything like that.
No, they get together and they're like, wait a second. You're a princess and I'm a moisture farmer?
Yeah,
this
something like that.
Right.
Hold on a second.
Right. Sheesh.
I feel a little shafted here right now.
But I like the point you were making, though, John, about the the DP and the technical aspect, because that also makes sense, pulling out the stops, because this is a very technical movie. It's a twin movie with the same, and that trick, like, again, is kind of tricky to pull off. We can all see there's the body doubles, and look, they happen to have their faces covered when they're fencing. How easy that is. But there are a lot of shots where they're both girls, and it's seamless. Like, this movie does it perfectly.
The only time it really falls through from a technical aspect is when they're like going off together like in the woods, when they're on the camping trip in specific, when they both pop out from behind a tree. It's like you can tell it's a flat effect.
And the reason why, like, when you watch it, and you're 100% right, John. And the reason why is because they waited too long to shoot her reversal in the different outfit, and the sun was different.
So lighting had changed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so they're like, crap, do we come back on the same day, or do we just tomorrow, or same time of day tomorrow, or do we just live with it? And they clearly said, we'll fix it in post.
Right. It's good enough and it's quick enough. I think that
it's a 90s Disney film.
Yeah. I mean, if anything,
one shot of 100, like twin shots. Like, it's not the end of the world.
If anything, and again, I'm not working with, knowledge, like intimate knowledge of the original or anything. This is like just judging it on its own merit. But as a first time viewer, you got Cundy, you got Tavoularis and you got Silvestri
Rotter
on the
and
score.
Silvestri. Yeah.
Yeah.
Stephen A. Rotter is the editor, and he won the Oscar for The Right Stuff. Like,
no slouch is what we're saying right here, folks. If you haven't seen The Right Stuff, maybe you want to go check it out. But I mean, that's the only thing though, is I thought the movie could have been shorter.
Oh my gosh. This movie had no business being that long. It's the same length to the minute as the original. To the minute. Which is insane. But this movie had no... I said that to my wife, because I watched this with both my kids and my wife today. And I said the exact same thing that you just said. I was like, this movie has no business being over 2 hours. And my wife said, both your kids love watching this movie, and they pay attention the entire time. And that in itself is a feat. I don't agree with her. I think this would be a better movie.
Well, my kids can pay attention... My kids can pay attention faster. Okay. That's just what I'm going. That's what my reply would be. I felt that there was easily like 10 or 15 minutes that could have come out of this, not in like a big, swath of film cut out, but little
all
trims
throughout
here
the
and there.
movie.
Yeah. Little bits here and there. And I know last week we talked about with the whole 9 yards, like it becomes a time capsule when you're watching a movie where, I mean, first and foremost, Lindsay Lohan is completely grown up now, has had her own career up to this point, and had a reinvention up to this point. It's kind of like, to come back and see her as a kid, you're like, wow. But also Natasha Richardson, it actually, I didn't expect it to sort of like hit me, but when she came on screen, I was like, oh my gosh, it's been so long since we lost her. I'd forgotten how long it had been since, her accident. And for anybody who doesn't know, she fell during a ski lesson, complained of a bad headache, and then she was gone. Like, she suffered brain trauma. And just wow. Who sees that coming? And seeing her in the film is like, oh, wow, that's right. I used to see her in a whole ton of stuff. But it's been so long since she's been on film. It's such a weird time capsule for that reason.
Absolutely. And it's, when you look at everyone who's in it, like this is like Dennis Quaid, Richardson, and you have people's names that I'm blanking on right now. But anyway, you had a lot of talent in front of the camera and behind the camera, because we've been focusing on the crew a lot. But this movie only had a budget of $15 million. So there was no like Tom Cruise, Bruce Willis, or Will Smith paychecks that they had to make. But they got the talent that they needed to make the movie in front of and behind the camera. And also, Haley Mills, who was the original actress in 61, who played both parts of the daughters, she was asked to make a cameo in the remake, but she couldn't do it because she was touring with The King and I. And Joanna Barnes, who played the fiancée in 1961, plays the fiancée's mother in the remake. So the one who says like, "Oh, pet, you can call me Aunt Vicky," like that was
right.
Yeah, she played Vicky Robinson.
She played the love
original.
interest.
So I like that. I like that. I like it when they do those things.
Little cameos like that I very much enjoy. It's when the cameos get in the way, can be a little tough, but that didn't happen here. I mean, and I didn't even know, that it was a cameo. So obviously the part just worked as it was. I think that, to your point, Tristan, I really think a movie like this, when you show it to a younger audience today, your wife says, oh, both your kids were paying attention. My youngest was paying attention. And it's such a reminder that we collectively as a society, every generation feels that the generation behind them doesn't pay attention well enough, and they can't lock in and they can't focus. But I think if anything, movies, and a movie like this, I'll throw it out there, by being as accessible to kids as they are, like the difficulty is finding the thing that they will engage with. And maybe there's some sort of like weird alchemy that we're overlooking now. And, because nobody wants to make a movie like this anymore, it seems. And I know that's a big blanket statement, but I would say that as they're looking for things to draw people to the theater, as it were, or to the streaming service, things like this would bring the kids in, which would then bring in the ticket sales and the families, because kids will pay attention to a 2 hour and 6 minute movie without a problem. It just has to be accessible to them the entire time, regardless of how accessible it is to the parents. That's my 2 cents. I don't know.
Well, and I mean, I like how this movie is. I like the stakes of this movie. Like that's something a kid can wrap their head around. Like, okay, we want to get the parents back together, but we got to keep secrets. And there's now he's engaged, and so it all of the stakes and things that that Haley and Annie have to do are based around things that a kid can wrap their head around. It's not like, and the company's merging and I got to stop it from being hostile takeover. Like that's business world. Like that's not in their wheelhouse, but this is all interpersonal. It's all, I could see a Bluey episode like this. Like it's so relatable.
Yeah. Well, I think that, Meyers definitely deserves credit for the fact that she got such a great performance out of Lindsay Lohan that she becomes a star after this immediately. And I think that a lot of what we're talking about is the fact that the director, it's their job to get those performances, the performances they need for for whatever they're doing, whatever the style is, whatever is appropriate. The director's job is to make it happen. And I think that Meyers' great strength here, besides the fact that she has tremendous production crew working with her, is the fact that obviously by having such a terrific crew around her, she's able to focus on those performances. And there were only a couple of times where I had a little bit of a challenge drawing a distinction between the twins in terms of their personality type. But most of the time, especially toward the beginning, it wasn't obnoxious where it was like one kid was wearing the leather jacket and spitting in people's faces, and the other kid was the prim and proper princess who dare not enter a room without curtsying or something like that. It's like they were believable kid performances from, nuanced from the same young actress making her debut on film. So I think that's a real credit to Nancy Meyers, that she had so much comfort and able to get a child to relax. Now, Lohan obviously has a lot of natural talent to relax to the point where she could give those sort of dual performances that are at no point cloying or annoying or maddening in any way, but work for the whole time.
Meyers said that she was looking for a quote, a little Diane Keaton, and 1,500 actresses submitted tapes, including Scarlett Johansson, Mara Wilson, Michelle Trachtenberg, and Jenna Malone. Apparently, they offered it to Jenna Malone, but she declined it twice. And when Dennis Quaid screen tested with Lohan, he was like, "This is it. This is the girl." He's like, "This is clearly the choice." Like he was sold the first time that he met her.
How was that though? That the actor recognizing the importance of that chemistry, like. He wasn't just saying Lindsay Lohan was a great talent. He was saying, this is a great talent, and I know that I can work with her. I can get a believable dad performance, because I think that's actually, Quaid really does have a dad chemistry with Lohan in this.
That's because Quaid has a dad chemistry with everyone.
Touche.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Even like with Martin Short when he's inside his body or, stuff like that.
Like, I know that Tom Hanks is America's dad, but Dennis Quaid, he's like, if your parents got divorced and remarried, it would be with Dennis Quaid.
If my mom, your parents.
If my mom gets divorced from Tom Hanks, I'm going to have her date Dennis Quaid, is what you're saying.
Yes,
gotcha.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah. Exactly.
Especially 90s Dennis Quaid. Like, he's just dad is written across his forehead right there. Well, one of the things I also think that I definitely want to shout out for Nancy Meyers is and we've talked about this aspect in other movies as well, and I'm saying this as a positive, is I know how I'm meant to feel in every scene of this movie. Because there's times when I'll watch a movie and I'm like, am I supposed to root for them right now? Or am I supposed to be scared? Or I don't know. Like, especially the first meets, the meet cutes with their opposite parents. It is so clear. Like, okay, I'm supposed to feel, that longing of not seeing a beloved, family member for ages and now getting to reconcile, and or the moments where the sisters realize they're sisters, and none of it comes off cheesy, but it could easily fall apart. These three scenes, the sisters, the meeting the mom again, the meeting the dad again, those have to land. That is the tripod that this movie emotionally is built on, and they all do. And then you have more comedy with the fiance, potential stepmother. Like, that is not as integral, that relationship dynamic. That's antagonistic. But yeah, I give her props for through this whole movie. You feel, you know what you're meant to feel as you're moving along this story with the characters.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And there are times where the emotional cue does hit really well in terms of, there were times that I thought were really, really effective emotionally in the film. I think that the only time where I felt distance from the characters, in all honesty, was with the whole fiance subplot. That never really clicked for me. That felt the most, and trust me, this is a big statement with a movie like this, that felt like it was the most contrived part of it. And that's I think that's saying something. And I'm sort of like struggling with, like, do you think that's because, the actress was sort of like not, Elaine Hendricks, who's a great actress. I love seeing her and stuff, but the chemistry on screen between her and Quaid didn't really work for me. And maybe it's not supposed to, because she's the Cruella de Vil
I don't
sort
think
of
it's
thing.
Supposed to. Yeah,
But like, it never felt real in any way to me. It felt the most like this is just a situation, as opposed to this is, like I was saying with Quaid and Lohan, I got the dad energy between the two of them. And when Quaid and Richardson meet up, I believed Quaid was falling for her again. But with Quaid and Hendricks, I didn't feel any sort of spark. There was nothing where I was like, oh, well, yeah, he's with her because,
I think that's a victim of the genre, where there's so more often you see it with men rather than you do with women. Like, you'll see so many love triangles. And I feel like we've talked about this before, but you see so many love triangles between one woman and two men. And it's always the person that the woman is with currently, whether it's a fiance or a boyfriend or a husband, and they're just a complete douchebag. They are just like the worst person on earth. They're bro-y, or they're stupid, or they're conniving, or just straight up evil. And you have no idea, zero idea, why the woman is with this person. It's just so that they can have the dumping scene and no one feels bad about it. And I think that's the victim of it here, is that, but you're just seeing the genders swapped.
I think that somebody who would have been able to get a more believable, I thought this entire time that the name of the employee of Dennis Quaid was Jesse, but it was Chessy, apparently, Chessy. Yeah. At no time did I understand. I thought it was Jesse the whole time. So let's work on our diction, everybody. But like in the credits, it's like Chessy. I was like, huh, no kidding. But I would have believed more if they had cut Hendrix's character and Chessy was like, oh yeah, I've been with him. And then we realized we were in love. But Tristan, I think you're right. Like, then I would have felt bad for Chessy. I would have felt awful for her. And I think it's just the actress who played her, Lisa Ann Walter. I think she's great. And I think she's really a lot of fun in the role. And also, shout out to Hometown Girl. She was born and raised, mere minutes from where I grew up. So, maybe that's why I'm cheering for her here. But I really like Chessie's energy. I thought her energy was
she's
great.
great.
Had great energy.
She was fantastic. And she's also really funny in Abbott Elementary and looks the freaking same. It's creepy.
I have to watch that show still. I've heard nothing but good things.
So I was thinking about what you were saying, John, and as we kind of alluded at the beginning of this, if this had been made today, the changes in the performance, and maybe that would have been something a little smoother where the fiance, you can actually see the connection, and then it becomes more of a, okay, why do I want to give this old relationship a chance? Like we hurt each other, we drifted apart. Like, not that it can't heal, but there's legitimate reasons that they broke up. I was trying to think of a smoother balance, and it made me think of The Sound of Music. So you also have a triangle with two women and a man where she is, the fiance or the other woman is not terrible. Like, she is not cruel or mean or stepmother-ish, but she's just not the right fit for Von Trapp and Maria is. So I feel like, yeah, you're right, John. If this movie it's 98, it's not 61 anymore, we're going to balance this relationship a little more. And that's just not the way we went. We went more in she is the antagonist. We're going to slapstick her hating camping and all of that. And that's fine. That's just how the movie went. And that's, like I said, very faithful to the original. But yeah, a different balancing of that triangle, I think a more modern, even more modern than 98 would approach it that way, where she isn't the villain, but they can land the relationship more of, but you're just not the right fit. In I don't know exactly how that would play out, but it could be done.
Yeah, I think it can be done. But the thing is that like with this specific movie, with 98, with 61, and the novel that it's based off of, the pranks that happen are a big part of the movie. Specifically in 61, like the pranks in 61 are hit a little bit harder than in 98. Actually, some of the pranks that you see in 98 at the camp are actually some of the same pranks that you see in 61, but towards the fiance. I feel like if you don't have them be a terrible person and just a terrible fit, the pranks land very differently.
Well,
yeah. Then Annie and Haley are terrible people, and you don't want that.
Well, I can also tell you, living in the land of lizards right now, I am the Lizard King. But no, seriously, like living in the land of lizards right now, when they picked up the lizard, like, we're like, oh, cute. That's nice. We do that all the time down here. Like we pick up, these little lizards and we're like, oh, look, they're so cute. Right. And we have fun with them and everything like that. But that scene where she like basically swallows a lizard, like that would have been a straight up deal breaker in anybody's book. Just because Darren, you mentioned, she doesn't get along with camping. I'm like, that's not camping. That's just disgusting. That's just gross as all hell. But additionally, like, you talk about the pranks and everything, when they're dragging her out, but my kid's next to me and I was like, how is she not waking up? And she goes, oh, she took sleeping pills as they're putting her out, onto the lake. And I go, oh yeah. And I go, oh God, she could drown then if she just turns over in her sleep.
Oh jeez, I didn't think about that. You're right.
I was like, this is a terrible prank. Like that's not funny at all.
Now I'm just seeing a Family Guy sketch where it's like, they cut in and they see her floating out and then she like snores and rolls over and then we see her go like, we see bubbles and then the twins are like, oh no. Like that is a Family Guy
marriage
sketch.
Credits.
Yeah, exactly.
That is right there, Allie.
The kids are in juvie during the ending.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to address the elephant in the room. I know we kind of talked about it at the beginning about how it would be made into a Lifetime film and everything like that. But so I've seen this movie before, but just once. I think the last time I watched it was probably in 98, 99. And I couldn't, even as a young person, I could not get past the fact that these parents should be in jail. and their kids should never talk to them again. They should hire lawyers and divorce their family. And it's insane to me. Like, you have to wave the Disney wand.
They didn't let each other know that they existed.
Yeah.
Is that okay? Yeah,
they completely separated their siblings at birth, and were just like, you know what, we're gonna keep one. Like, it's like one step below or I should say one step above the biblical story, where he's just like, I'll just cut the child in half.
Wait. So you're saying it's like sending one to a moisture farm and sending one to a royal house on a different planet?
We already made this joke, John.
I know, but I'm
John.
Oh, I'm turning it around on you and saying it's not so funny anymore, is it? No,
it's different because you didn't have a maniacal half robot, half man trying to find them and kill them.
Okay, hold on. You got to hear both sides. All right, we'll table this discussion. But I think that when you're looking at this, I agree with you. There's like, I'm sitting there, I'm like, there is no way in hell any judge on the face of the planet does this ever. Like, you're right. They're in jail at this point. There's nothing like this that's ever going to happen. This is as ludicrous as like on Seinfeld, when the premise is that, they get in a car accident and he has to be his butler. Like, it's a sitcom premise basically. And I guess maybe back in the 60s, when talking about divorce was a much more foreign concept, like, it was easier to play that for comedy. But yeah, I mean, obviously there's absolutely zero reality to that, or the fact that either one of them would, like, when they meet each other for the first time, and one of them, Annie's like, I don't know, yeah, he kind of looked like me, I don't know, turn to the side. They're having full on like psychotic meltdowns. They're like, what is going on? And everybody at the camp is screaming too, and they're like, what is happening? I agree.
And another thing that, not that it took me out, it just was a moment. So none of the camp mom like leadership thought like, hey, when these parents or guardians come to pick these kids up, let's talk to them and be like, that your child met like basically their twin sister here, like, and they're just so unplugged from the situation. It's like, oh, okay.
Zero investment in the health and welfare of their campers.
That's where, again, if this were made today, it would be made as a Netflix 6-episode series, and we would have an entire episode talking about how Marva Culp Sr. and Marva Culp Jr. were not accredited camp counselors, and they instead lucked their way into managing the camp, which would explain their lack of attention to detail. So if you have a 6-episode season, you can dedicate a whole 45 minutes to that.
I mean, this is the era of like Camp Nowhere, like Ernest Goes to Camp, like crazy things happened at camp. Camp was a lawless land of kids taking over the camp. Whoever, heavyweights, people totally unqualified to run children's education in camps. That was the lawless land that we lived in. So you know what? It totally tracks.
At this point, they're just lucky a guy in a hockey mask didn't show up. But like, I think that, I think that one of the funniest things was in the very beginning, in the very long opening of this movie, when one of the kids, when they're getting off the bus, one of the kids actually mentions how they can't get phone signal when they're there. And I'm like, okay, number one, in 98, wow, that kid had their own cell phone in 98?
Everybody who's rich in this movie. Everybody.
Yeah. Well, or their father worked for the phone company, and so they got, to take advantage of new technology that was rolled out. But like, I think that that blew my mind, because of like, wow, that just made this movie timeless, because somebody mentioned a cell phone. That's great. Although, of course, later I'm sitting there, I'm in my brain, and they're like, they're calling each other. I'm like, international rates apply. I think that both mom and dad are going to be really upset about their phone bills at the end of this movie. I'm just saying.
Both mom and dad can afford the long distance phone calls. We've established this.
Touche. Very good point.
I want to know, this is the hypothetical that I was hoping that they would kind of fill in during the credits when they show the photos from the second wedding, is what do you think happened after the wedding, the second wedding? What do you think happened? Where did they live? How did they get together? Did they split time? Were they bi-coastal? Did she move to Napa? Did he move to London? What happened?
I think they moved to a third city because they couldn't decide which one. He sold the vineyard. She kept designing outfits. He became a stay-at-home dad, and they lived in Milan because she's involved in designing clothing. So that's where I go with Parent Trap 2, the Parent Trap ending.
I think it's a little more split. I think they're going to live in a new place in London because remember, she's got her dad. Like there's family involved as well that lives in the house. So I think they're going to have a bigger house in London and spend all time there except summers. Summers, we're going to go back to the vineyard. He's sold the vineyard. I agree that, but he's kept the house or some part of the property. So that's like summer on the ranch. You know, we got the horses and, you know, outdoor camping and all of that. I think that's how we're going to balance it. I mean, it's interesting. I mean, not to get onto other movies, but we're going to have the same conversation in a couple of movies, guys. It's coming back around. But yeah, it is very much a Disney hand wave of, and they all lived happily ever after. And it's like, how? Thank God they're rich, because otherwise, I don't know how this would
They had
work.
not one, but 2 weddings on the QE too. All right. Yeah, they're doing all right. They're doing all right.
See, even though you guys didn't ask me, I personally believe that they move full-time to Napa because she can design wedding dresses anywhere and they have enough money that she can fly anywhere that she wants. But the vineyard, you can't move the vineyard.
That's true. I mean,
Yeah.
they are impromptu jump on a Concord level rich. So like, I mean, that just says it all.
Darren, I'm going to ask you for your rating. How many Oreos dunked in peanut butter are you giving this film?
I got to try that.
I know, right?
So, gosh, you know, I cannot find fault in this movie. It is a fun movie. It is amazingly acted by, I mean, literally child star Lindsay Lohan. Like, she is cutting her teeth on this movie. It's a twin movie. The technical aspects that you have to pull off acting wise for that. The chemistry, like the casting is so good in this movie. Like the casting is good. Yes, I can see the fact that the pace of this movie is set at like a leisurely 3 and it never deviates the entire movie, and that's okay. But yeah, I'm just gonna give it a 5. I love watching this movie. My kids enjoy this movie. It's a great remake. It takes all the great parts of the first original, you know, modernizes a little bit, but doesn't overchange it because there wasn't really that much that needed changing. So do I feel we need another Parent Trap now that it's been like 20 something years? Nah, I'm good. I think we're fine. But yeah, and also I think it just gets an extra bump for that 90s. It is a time capsule. It is a beautiful, soft, light, lit, you know, fun days at the airport nostalgia trip. And I enjoy it. So I'm going to give it 5 Butler limos rolling around the camp.
All right, Mr. Mills.
I have to be very harsh on the runtime because I did feel it. And I think that while it's beautifully designed and there are I mean, like Nancy Meyers, this is a hell of a debut, and Lindsay Lohan is perfect in this role. She's amazing. She's absolutely top-notch amazing. I do think that there's a ceiling on old school Disney in terms of how much it's going to work for me. And every time I encounter it, very rarely does it break through that ceiling. So this one hits that ceiling of 4 because this is solidly enjoyable. I don't regret watching it. I would, if somebody said a year from now, it's like, oh, let's watch The Parent Trap. I'm like, okay, sure. But I'm not walking around being like, man, did you see The Parent Trap? Because, to your point, Darren, it finds a pace and it just chugs along at that pace and never deviates. Even when it feels like there should be some deviation to speed up. Once you know where you're going, it's okay to get there a little bit faster. and there are ways to do it. So it's a solid 4 for me. What about you, Tristan?
I think I'm going to give it 3.5, but a good 3.5. Like this is not something where
Not
I think
a
it's
bad 3.5, John. Not a bad.
No,
obviously,
there's
bad,
not a
bad
3.5.
That's an evil thing.
No, there is a bad 3.5. There is a disappointed 3.5. Like there's something that like a 3.5 could be something that you expected a lot more from, or something that has like a big budget, or is, you know, struck a chord with people, but you're just like, you know what, it just didn't hit the mark for me. 3.5. This one is 3.5. Shelf is just a little bit lower than yours when it comes to this kind of Disney. I mean, this is a good, like if I was an 11-year-old girl, this would be a 5-star film. No offense to Darren. But this was like this as I'm watching this and I'm watching my kids react to it, and my oldest is 9, and I think my wife was 11 when this came out, and she fell in love with this movie. It's one of her favorites. Like this is a 5-star film for its demographic, and for that it needs to be praised, and it deserves to be praised. For me, as an almost 40-year-old man, you know, I'm just like, okay, yeah, there's a lot that I would change in order to make this appeal to me, but it shouldn't be changed to appeal to me. It should, like, this is for the demographic. So I'm kind of battling in between, you know, what I should rate it. Like for me, it's 3.5, but for the demo, it's 5. So, you know, I'm just going to go to 4. That's what I'm going to do.
No, that all
Good
sounds
man.
fair.
There
That was
you
a
go.
really good shake.
So, Darren, what are we doing next week?
All right, we're continuing here with Nancy Meyers. Next week, we're going to cover 2000's What Women Want, next on Houselights.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.